Hello, ladies and gentlemen, you beautiful people. Blank check. No, Princess Blank Check here. And welcome to part 1 of my Q&A. I disguised it as a 10,000 subscriber celebration, which has come and gone, but either way, thank you all so much for joining this crazy train. But it's really just a matter of the semester finally having ended, so in a way it's also my graduation gift. You guys made a huge response to my announcement video. It has nearly 500 comments with around 300 unique questions, and that's why this is part 1, there's a lot to cover. Before I even answered a single one, I spent hours consolidating and separating the questions into different categories and a somewhat logical ordering. So if you gave me several, it's likely your name will pop up in different places. Also, I've generally scripted out all my answers to make this move at a decent pace. I won't be wasting time juggling answers or stopping to think of what to say. Otherwise, this would take forever. I've named my categories, of course I did, and this video will cover the categories of shipping, how to build a brony, opinions are magic, best ponies, and random MLP shenanigans. It's my most pony-focused video. Questions about myself, my channel, the community, games and movies, and other miscellaneous things will come later. This video will be long enough as it is, so let's dig in with the one category I have not yet mentioned, but has been featured to my right for the past little while. The Princess Blank Check cometh. Behold, behold. Alright, number 1. What did it feel like when you became the best princess? Little bit of heartburn, kinda gassy, like I had a fast food burger earlier in the day, you know, whose contents are a mystery, and it was not sitting quite right. Number 2. Why is Princess Blank Check so perfect? Because he can see the reason why kids love Cinnamon Toast Crunch. There's cinnamon sugar swirls in every bite. Number 3. Why are you such a fabulous pretty princess? Because Princess Blank Check always dresses in style. Number 4. Are you a pretty little princess? Yes, I'm a pretty little princess. Number 5. I was halfway expecting you to start this video with saying Princess Blank Check here. I like to keep some distance, maintain a sense of aloofness. Always keep them guessing. We'll get back to that idea once we broach the subject of my cutie mark. Number 6. If you were a princess, well, you are. What would you be princess of? Princess of propane and propane accessories. Number 7. Dat throne picture dough. Pretty great, huh? My good pal Lucky DSI made it for me after this whole princess thing took off. He's made a bunch of other cool things with and without my face. Check out his DeviantArt. Princess Blank commandeth. Number 8. Give me that throne and royal clothes. Sorry, that was not a question. You'll have to try again next time. Number 9. How come everyone calls you best princess if you're a stallion? Number 10. How can you be best princess if you're not a mare? So, the real question is, what would your mare self be named? Lacuna is the only pretty sounding thing for blank I can think of, so... Lacuna Tab? Lacuna Mark? Lacuna something else that means check? Wow, I just realized the significance of Lacuna's name in Fallout Equestria Project Horizons. Thank you! I do like that word a lot. Lacuna Invoice? Lacuna Ledger? She was great in the new Batmare movie. Lacuna Bill? Hey guys, I'm Lacuna Bill! No, Lacuna Balance? You know, checks and balances? That could work. Though I'm not sure if just finding 2 synonyms is the best route here. Maybe we could use the French term for inspiration and go with carte blanche. Number 11. Wanna be my king? I would love to serve you. Next question. Number 12. Do you know Epic V's channel? Nope, never heard of her. Number 13. Who is the yellow and black pony in this video and your channel art? Oh, that's Epic V. Number 14. How are you liking the new title that Epic V gave you? It feels right. Like it was always there, but I never noticed until recently. I for one welcome our new pony overlord, who is me. Number 15, what's your relation with Epic V? Is it a close online kind of friendship, or just a little funny time-to-time talking kind of friendship? Oh, we're very close. But really, we're just having fun here. Twitter be crazy. And why was Brony Burning Axe in between you two in the update video? That really threw me. It's not Brony Burning Axe, though he's welcome to join if he wants. Second, how does it feel having all these princess comments? Does it bother you a little, or is it fun pretty much all the time? The plot of my annoyance versus time with the princess comments is a bell curve. The first day or so, when the biggest influx came in, was really endearing, but then later that week they started to get in the way of other comments, so it became difficult to find and respond to everything I wanted to. But now they pop back up sparsely and at random, so they're back to being cute. And finally, how did this princess meme thing start for you with the fan art and such? Did it begin when Epic V made that request to the audience in her Nay Anything reaction? Or did it start before that? Brohoof! The princess meme specifically was Epic V's doing. Before her video there, she created a picture of me with the scepter and the crown and posted that on Twitter. But it was the Nay Anything reaction that really got things started. Category 2. Shipping! Number 1. Who is your special sum pony? I'm contractually obligated to say Epic V here. And by contractual, I mean at knife point. Someone please save Number 2. How did your shipping with Epic V become a thing? That might have been my bad. On her 3K Q&A, she mentioned that her channel was partially inspired by mine, and I responded with a thank you. Pretty harmless, right? Someone replied to me with a shipping joke, and I may have subsequently gone to Pony Creator and envisioned the child of Blank Check and Epic V. Then, soon afterward, the Crystalling premiered, and the aforementioned ever-talented Lucky DSI turned this love child into an alicorn, a la Flurry Heart, which I used in my thumbnail. That's when things really took off. Since then, it snowballed a bit, partially thanks to fan art, but mostly because of us. We kind of commandeered the vessel ourselves and ran it ashore. Number 3, can I ship you with Epic V? Absolutely. Number 4, how long have you known Epic V? I knew about her late last year. She was following my channel. And then I especially took note when her reaction videos popped up. There were a couple comments here and there, but it was only a couple months back before I finally acknowledged her. And that's my fault, I'm just bad at those sorts of things. Number 5, how are you and Epic V doing? Can't complain, though she did take the last slice of leftover pizza from the fridge a few weeks back, and I still have not forgiven her. Number 6, are you and Epic V planning to meet at some point in the future? That just might happen. There are some plans in place to meet up at BronyCon. Number 7, do you like Epic V? If so, I dare you to draw what your foal would look like. I'm already way ahead of you, buddy. Number 8, what would you like to do to bond with your and Epic V's child? I know, I'll take her to a baseball game. She'll get her cutie mark, and things will never be the same. Wait, those are the lyrics to Daddy Discord. I get songs and life goals confused sometimes. Number 9, how do you feel about shipping? I'm fine with it. It's often silly but harmless fun. There aren't many ships I root for, but I can be convinced to go along with most of them for the sake of a narrative or small animation. Number 10, if you had to pick one shipping pair, who would it be? Lyra and Bonbon would be my OTP. It's a classic and even DHX knows it. Number 11, most disliked MLP ship. Twilight and Flash is an easy answer here, but something like Pinkie Pie with, I don't know, Twilight. You always have to convince me more when you're shipping two main characters. They're the most developed, canonically, and as a result are the least malleable. Though I may have warmed up to Apple Dash a bit more than others. Spike and Rarity is one that's hard for me to take seriously. It just seems to fit so well as this one-sided childhood crush. I even preferred when people paired Spike with Sweetie Belle, though now that Ember's here, the field has totally shifted for the better. But of course, I've seen far worse ships out there that I'm just not counting here, like brother-sister stuff. Number 12? Yeah, 12. How do you feel about shipping of Marble and Big Mac? I mean, they're cousins, right? Here's the thing I've seen people not understand about this, even ignoring that they've never technically confirmed they're related. The way Pinkie explains the potential relationship between the families in Pinkie Apple Pie is so distant, to quote, they would be fourth cousins twice removed by a fifth cousin, that it really has no significance, and cousin is used as a catch-all term that covers a wide range. People more closely related than that get married every single day. On both a social and genetic level, it means nada. This is one of the few ships that I actively enjoy seeing. Number who cares? Is it okay if I ship you with each of the main 6, each princess, Spike, the best supporting characters from various episodes, and myself? In order, yes, definitely, no, of course, and absolutely. Category 3, how to build a brony. Number 1, how did you become a brony? When did you begin watching MLP? What got you interested, etc.? It's actually a pretty standard, underwhelming backstory, though I somehow was oblivious for the longest time. It was probably early 2012 that I really became aware of the fandom in any significant way. Around that time, I watched the death battle Starscream vs. Rainbow Dash, and thought, oh, that's weird, that pony just kicked Starscream's butt. That said, I did not look too deep. Around this time, I also caught wind of fans in general through online forums. I've never been a 4chan guy, so I was never that close to the heart. I generally just brushed it off, not thinking anything of it one way or the other. At some point later, I found out that one of my online acquaintances had become what I learned was a brony, and that slightly piqued my interest, but still wasn't much of a push. Then I graduated high school, and I fell out of contact with most of the people I knew. I had a lot of friends at school, everyone knew me, and I had a foot inside just about every clique. But I was bad at keeping that up outside of school. So I was having a lazy summer, and it came to my attention that Netflix had just added Season 2 of MLP in high definition. I figured, hey, why not see what the heck's going on here? So I owe it all to that boring day that was, I believe, June 14th, 2012, that gave me the means to stream both seasons of Friendship is Magic on Netflix. Number 2. What was the first episode you saw? Episode 1. Number 3. What were your thoughts going into watching your first episode? I never had any reason to dislike the fandom. I thought it was a pretty weird thing, but hey, I'm weird and I enjoy plenty of cartoons. I had zero attachments to the old generations of MLP, but this was something new, and apparently there were people behind it that made cartoons that I loved. My general thoughts were those of curiosity and indifference. Number 4, did you watch them in order? Yes, with the exception of Scaremaster, I have seen every episode in order. Number 5, when you started, did it immediately hook you or did it take you a few episodes? What's the episode you blame for officially bringing you into the fandom? In other words, what was your tipping point? When it went from, what's this pony nonsense, to, holy crap, this is surprisingly epic. It did not grab me up front. My general experience was like this. I was probably mostly stone-faced through the first episode. It was sickeningly cute. Nothing really stood out. Well, aside from the part where the yellow one told us her name, that was actually kind of adorable. I have not seen anything great yet, but this Nightmare Moon character is interesting. I guess this whole season is going to be a big adventure arc with the characters trying to overcome this eternal night. I could imagine that getting pretty good, so let's keep going. Episode 2. Wait, that's it? That was pretty underwhelming. And those trials were kind of dumb. Applejack's virtue showing by dropping Twilight off a cliff. Really? But they beat the big bad guy in episode 2. What in the world are they going to do next? I need to see what this series actually is. Episode 3, The Ticketmaster. Okay, that was a little better, but it was also about a big gala with dresses and parties. I'm not sure about this. That said, the Benny Hill chase scene was alright. And I have nothing better to do right now, so let's keep going, I guess. Episode 4, Applebuck Season. Wow, neat. That was the best episode yet. Applejack's a decent character, and there was some actual value in seeing her break down like that. I still do not understand the hype, but maybe things keep picking up like this. Episodes 5 and 6 I thought were better than the first ones, but not as good as Applebuck Season. I was still a bit underwhelmed, but I wasn't actively disliking my time with it. Episode 7, Dragonshy, was the turning point. Not only was it the first episode revolving around the only character I was a legitimate fan of at the time, but it was this grand adventure scaling a mountain and facing off against a mythical beast. Dodging rock avalanches and staring down a full-grown dragon was totally unexpected given what I had seen previously. It was here where I became more committed. Number 57,000. What episode, moment in the series, or part of the Brony community made you go from being a casual fan to a reviewer/analyst? This is a harder question. I can't pinpoint a specific moment there. It's really the culmination of having been a fan and seeing tons of great creative pieces from the fandom. In terms of becoming a reviewer specifically, that's more due to the success of my channel. I likely never would have taken that turn without already having an established viewer base. I consider myself more an entertainer than an analyst when it comes to MLP. I'll be digging deeper into this topic in the next video. Number W, are you a closet brony? Nope, I'm pretty nonchalant about it. I even like wearing semi-subtle shirts related to the show. Number 8, how did you tell your family you were a brony? And do you have other friends or family members that like MLP? It wasn't a big deal for me, so I can't actually remember the moment. At the time, I was only living with my mother, and I'm pretty sure I straight up told her the same week I started the show. Within a couple weeks, I brought it up carefully to my best friend at the time. He has since joined the Honor Guard up near the Capitol, good on him. And he ended up starting the show on his own before I then invited him over to watch the rest of seasons 1 and 2. That was my second viewing. I can't remember if I told my older sister or if my mom blabbed about it. She was the most wary about things, but has come to accept it. And at this point in time, my mom has actually seen the first 5 seasons, all 3 Equestria Girls movies, and a solid amount of fan content. At my university, actually, I was fortunate enough to start the very semester that a Brony Club was created on campus. I've been a member for 4 years, and I've found some of my best friends through it. My continued interest in the fandom, my courage to openly express myself through art and attire, and my entire channel are things I owe to their support and their enthusiasm. Number 9, does anyone judge you on being a brony? I've never come across anyone who is openly negative about it. I'm sure people do, but I can't concern myself with that. Number 10, what's your opinion on MLP haters? It's the same as my opinion on anyone who irrationally hates on people for enjoying something totally harmless. It's completely fine not to enjoy the show or the fan content, but letting it drive you to personal insults and rash generalizations is ridiculous. No one wins. One side feels bad and gets defensive, and the other side earns some fleeting self-satisfaction at the suffering of others. That's a childish way to look at the world, and there's no positive growth to be had. The good thing is, if you can come to terms with yourself, it's easy to drop your insecurities and completely ignore these people. They have no actual power, just access to a computer and the ability to spout profanity that even modern 6th graders are capable of. It's why I feel like the adult fans, those older than my age group, often have life figured out more than anyone. They're able to accept this community and defy the biggest social stigma because they realize that life is short and you grab at whatever makes you happy. Because succumbing to social expectations out of fear, sure as hell, is not how you accomplish that. Category 4, Opinions are magic. Number 1, favorite episodes. Alright, this is my longest answer because I'm going to tackle all these at once. I cannot pinpoint one episode, and sometimes I can't even choose a favorite for each season, so I'm gonna move through my favorites in chronological order. Season 1. Really, only Party of One stands out from the first season to me at this point. Dragon Chai converted me, Winter Wrap-Up was catchy, Feeling Pinky Keen gave some surprisingly fun slapstick, but Party of One is special. I love seeing character breakdowns, and this is one of the show's best, inspiring so much great fan content and solidifying the character of Pinkamena. I'm not sure if it would still make my top 10, but I have to give it props. Season 2. Return of Harmony, absolutely, giving us the glorious John Delancey chewing the scenery to perfection. And I consider the Season 2 premiere to be a sort of turning point for the show and for myself. There was something different about it, a sense of familiarity or comfort on part of the writers and animators that came through in its tone and delivery. I personally think Season 2 was a big step up from the show's beginnings. And right afterward, Lesson 0 came out. Much like Party of One, we had a wonderful mental breakdown, culminating in a terrifying Twilight Sparkle and direct involvement from Princess Celestia. It was my most replayed episode for a long time. Props to the Flim Flam episode and It's About Time, but my third choice for Season 2 is Canterlot Wedding. This one is definitely a top 5 for me, introducing the Changelings, who have inspired some fantastic fan works, as well as Cadence and Shining Armor. Chrysalis was one of the most insidious villains, kidnapping and disguising herself as the princess, mind-controlling Shining Armor. This was dark material for the show. And that cliffhanger, I actually thought Twilight may have made a mistake and Cadence was just being a bridezilla. That scene where Chrysalis leans in to comfort Twilight, only to stare her down and pull her through a ring of fire. Imagine if the episodes aired a week apart instead of consecutively. The fandom would have gone insane. Even with the Love Ex Machina at the end, this was an amazing finish to my introduction to the series back in summer 2012. Season 3. The Crystal Kingdom used to be part of my top 10, and I think it's a bit underrated by fans, but after Season 5 it got knocked down a peg, so this is just a casual mention. Magic Duel was super fun, but no. Really, Season 3 probably only has one episode I'll include here, and that's the finale. Magical Mystery Cure was a frantically paced, rushed, messy, totally incredible experience that was a delight to both the eyes and the ears. The music was strong and varied, the pacing did lend itself to a ton of replayability. This one dethroned Lesson 0 for me, and the ending was so heartwarming. Celestia's ballad still stands as the only moment in the show that's brought tears to my eyes. Seeing a montage of Twilight's journey, the culmination of her past few years, along with the great tribute song, was overwhelming. And on top of that, it gets credit from me for causing such a huge stir in the fandom. I agree with Discord, chaos can be a lot of fun. Thanks, Larson. Season 4. The premiere, Princess Twilight Sparkle, is definitely up there. If you haven't noticed, I like epic two-parters, and this one gave us a really effective flashback for the conflict between Celestia and Nightmare Moon. Add in some fabulous chaos from Discord, including the Twilicane, or Scepter, that is one of my favorite pony memes, as well as the elimination of the elements of harmony. This one was a significant episode. Shout out to Pinky Pride as a runner-up. It was extremely fun, and getting Weird Al was one of the best decisions the showrunners ever made. The other Season 4 episode I'd include is the finale. Given what I just said, that shouldn't come as a surprise. T-Rex was the best villain to look at and think, yeah, that's a big bad guy that we can beat up without remorse. And lo and behold, they gave us a Dragon Ball action scene to fanboy over. The princesses giving up their powers and being sent to Tartarus, Discord's redemption being put through a real test, Twilight making a sacrifice for her friends. Much like Canterlot Wedding, even more so actually, the Deus Ex Machina at the end was jarring, but the rest more than made up for it. Season 5 is my favorite, and that's reflected by the number of episodes I'll be mentioning here. Guess what? It's another premiere. The Cutie Map is another episode I can confidently place in my top 5. Its tone is unique and effective, bringing us a more subtle and layered villain, as well as a hilariously creepy village. I said plenty about this one in my Bronies React video, but Season 5 came out of the gate swinging. The same can be said about Slice of Life. This one stands out for completely different reasons, but I love it all the same. As an episode, it's incredible for fans and packs sharp editing with tons of jokes and unforgettable moment after moment. But as a celebration of both the show and the community, it has a special meaning all its own. It is the episode I've seen more than any other, and my channel owes a lot to it. Come back for part 2 of the Q&A. Brotherhood's Social edged out Amending Fences for my emotional entry. Don't get me wrong, that one was fantastic, but Big Mac sharing a sunset with Apple Bloom was almost the second time the series brought tears to my eyes. And I loved the rest of the episode. Peter New was hilarious playing Orchard Blossom. Crusaders of the Lost Mark occupies a similar place as Magical Mystery Cure for me. Great music, solid editing, tons of replayability, super emotional montage-laden ending, and the ever-present feeling that it should have been a two-parter. It's easily my favorite CMC episode, and seeing them finally get their marks was very rewarding. And finally, the finale. I made a review of this one, so I'll be brief. Starlight's return was better than I expected. The alternate timelines were fantastic, and I wish we could get full story arcs inside of them. I loved the laser fights, and though I think Starlight's redemption was underwhelming, she may have been the most deserving villain to get one. And that's it. I feel like it's too early to include any Season 6 episodes, though there have been some very good ones. If No Second Prances, Hearthswarming Tale, and Saddle Row Review can stand the test of time, I might end up considering them. Number 2, favorite moments from the show. A lot of these overlap my favorite episodes, so I'll be more brief and start from the beginning once again. Pinkamina's party in Party of One, Fluttershy staring down the dragon in Dragonshy, Twilight's Wile E. Coyote antics in Feeling Pinky Keen, especially when Derpy drops the piano on her. Fluttershy's breakdown in The Best Night Ever. Watch out, every pony! Here comes Tom! Twilight going insane in Lesson 0. The opening of It's About Time with Future Twilight. The Smile Song. The cliffhanger in Canterlot Wedding. This Day aria, absolutely. Shining Armor throwing Cadence at the Crystal Heart. Pinky's watching paint dry, Twilight outsmarting Trixie in Magic Duel, especially with the gender swapping part, Celestia's Ballad and Twilight's Ascension, the flashback battle of the two sisters in the Season 4 premiere, cuts to Gummy and Boneless in Pinky Pride, you know, the live action shots, Flutter Guy, especially in Philly Vanilli, every scene that Maud is in, Twilight vs. T-Rex, the main 6 entering Starlight's village for the first time. Slice of Life. Just the entire thing. Derpy talking, Dr. Who's lab, Lyra and Bonbon's shipping moment, Octavia and Vinyl making sweet music together, Gummy's freaking monologue. Alright, let's move on. The ending of Amending Fences. The ending of Brotherhood's Social. The ending of Crusaders of the Lost Mark. The magic inside, I Am Just a Pony. A ton of things from the Season 5 finale. Specifically, that moment I realized Sombra took over and seeing the war against him with Rainbow Dash's mechanical wing and Celestia going into the front lines. Number 3, least favorite episode of MLP. Surprisingly, I actually have a single answer to this. It ain't easy being Breezy's. Because the main 6's transformation scene into Breezy's triggered some instinctive terror and rage inside me. It was like the representation of what I feared the series was going to be when I first started watching come to fruition. I am not a fan. Number 4, what are you hoping to see happen in the upcoming episodes of Season 6? I personally really want the Celestia episode that could focus on her past. Actually, you took the words right out of my mouth. I would love to see some character development for Celestia, and I don't necessarily need an episode about her past. I'd be overjoyed for a present-day slice-of-life episode for the princess, just getting a glimpse into what she does each day. Alternatively, there's a great fanfic called Sunny Skies All Day Long, where Celestia gets tired of ruling and takes a day off. She heads off to Ponyville in disguise and encounters the main 6 along the way. I would love something like that as well. Number 4, what is your opinion on Equestria Girls and why? I think Equestria Girls is a bad premise, but they've made a couple good films out of it regardless. I'm not a fan of the characters being portrayed as high schoolers, and the character designs are hit and miss. But I'm still a fan of the characters, and that's why Rainbow Rocks and Friendship Games managed to work. I can handle the setting when it's in the context of these big, world-threatening events, even though it's still set at a school, but I don't know how on board I would be to see them transition into a slice-of-life high school series. Also, Celestia and Luna look so dumb! Number 3, what's your take on EQG Legends of the Everfree? I haven't even really looked into it, I only know it's the 4th film. Rainbow Rocks was great, and Friendship Games was solid, so I have faith that it'll be entertaining, especially with how they've handled Sunset's character, and now that they have Human Twilight aboard. My hype level is moderate. Number 2, thoughts on the 2017 movie? Disclaimer, I have no idea what's been confirmed so far, but I would very much like it to be in the style of the show visually, except obviously on a larger budget. And generally, I'd be fine if it played like a more fleshed out version of one of the villain-focused two-parters, and without a last-minute friendship ex machina. I'm worried that, since it's on a much larger scale, this will have too much corporate interference and too much reliance on celebrity voice actors. I do not know what to expect. It could delight, it could crash and burn. Category 5, Best Ponies. Question... let's collectively call these question 1. Who is your favorite main 6, your favorite pony, your favorite character? Your favorite main 6 character including Sunset and Starlight. Wait, wouldn't that imply main 8? Whatever. It doesn't matter, because Best Pony is obviously the blue Scootaloo recolor that was forcibly evicted from Cheerilee's class not too long ago. But really, deep down, for favorite MLP character, I would have to side with Fluttershy. She was the first character I liked, being the only part of the premiere that I actively enjoyed watching. And it was her first solo episode that convinced me on the series. Naturally, she'd also be my favorite main 6 character. That said, Twilight and Discord are pretty close behind. And that other question hanging around there, who do you ship them with? I don't really ship her with anyone. Big Mac was a contender before Marble, and Bride of Discord made a fun argument for the Draconiquist, but I mentioned that I'm not huge on shipping main characters. Number 2, who is the best pony? Here's something I like to consider. A divide in my mind between favorite and best. I don't think I could call Fluttershy the best pony. She has flaws, and I don't mean in the intentional character building way. It seems to hold back her development at times and limit her narratives. I would sooner hand this title over to Twilight. She's journeyed through a really engaging story arc over these 5+ seasons, faced grand trials and tribulations, and come out a very different character. On top of that, she gets the focus and the brunt of my favorite episodes of the series. Number 3, favorite pony outside the main 6. Mine is Trixie. You specified pony, so I can't say Discord. Trixie is a good choice, but not quite mine. Sunset is a contender, though I'm not sure if she counts either, since we only really know her as a human. Right now, I think I'd have to go with either Starlight or Luna. I would love to say Celestia, but I'm choosing to favor canon material for these questions. Luna has been an integral part of the series for a while now, and she looks awesome. But Starlight has managed to be both a great villain and great protagonist in a very short time, relatively. Number 4, favorite pony excluding main characters. Depends a little on what classifies as main, but since I've answered the other questions, I'll limit this to background ponies. And I think Derpy edges out Vinyl Scratch for me. She's just too darn cute. And I even enjoy shipping her with the Doctor. Number 5, what background pone would you most like to see more of in the show? In terms of taking a more active role, I think Dr. Hooves could be really interesting with his science experiments. Or Sweetie Drops, playing on the secret agent bit. I think Vinyl is used a proper amount, and we already understand Derpy well enough. Number 6, who is your least favorite pony? Your OC. That's a good question. I don't dislike ponies that much. And you specified pony, so I can't take the easy road and say breezies. Here's the thing, it's not going to be Spoiled Rich or Surrey Polymer. I kind of like having those characters around. And Flash is an easy target, but he's never actually done anything as a pony. Or as a human, am I right? Let's just go with Twist and call it a day. Screw Twist. Number 7, how would you rank the main 6 in order from favorite to least favorite? This list is ever-changing for me, especially 3, 4, and 5, but here we go. Number 1 is Fluttershy, and number 2 is Twilight, as I've mentioned. It's been this way for a long time. Twilight was perhaps number 3 at some point, but her position is pretty locked in. Number 3 right now would go to Rarity. She's gotten a lot of development and some really standout episodes. When I began the show, she was dead last. But as it became clear that she wasn't just some embodiment of vanity, rather a hardworking, overstressed, and pretty savvy business mare, she gradually worked her way forward. Number 4 and number 5. This is hard because I like them for such different reasons. For now, I'll give Applejack the nod for number 4. She doesn't inspire the best episodes, but she's just a very solid, dependable, and down-to-earth character. Also great for comedy with dry observations or playing it straight when coupled with the more theatrical Rarity, or boisterous Rainbow Dash. So number 5 would go to Pinkie Pie. She has some superb episodes as well as songs, and it's always interesting to see her more insecure side. She's only down here, aside from the quality of the entire cast obviously, because her usual hyper nature is hard to relate. Pinkie's been in most positions on this list at one point or another, and she's probably the most likely to keep jumping around. Fitting. And that means number 6 is Rainbow Dash. Early on, she was number 2. Like many new fans, I was enamored by her more tomboyish charm within the context of the show. But she dropped as the seasons progressed. Her braggadocious personality does not click with mine. She's as stubborn as Applejack, but in a less desirable way. That said, I've enjoyed her character a lot more over the past season or so. She's gotten some really good development lately. Number 8. Which main 6 pony do you think could leave? Leave the show? I don't want any of them to leave, but I could actually think of situations where it would make enough sense. Maybe Rainbow Dash becoming a full-time Wonderbolt, or Rarity moving to better manage her growing fashion empire. Or Twilight digging deeper into her royal duties, with Starlight filling in her place. I feel bad for admitting this, but Fluttershy might be the least crucial character, or the one that would most easily vanish into the background. But I don't want that to happen. Number 9. These are 3 similar questions, but they have nuances that make my answers different. If you could meet one member of the main 6, who would it be? In terms of simply meeting a character, I'd go with Twilight. My reasoning: Pinkie Pie would be too overwhelming, Rainbow Dash would brag about herself, Applejack would be too normal, though I would like to see her hat, and unfortunately Fluttershy would probably cower in fear and I'd feel bad and miss my opportunity. I think Twilight would match my curiosity and make for a really cool, informative meeting. If you could hang out with any of the MLP characters, who would it be? Hanging out is a bit different if it means we're already familiar. I would not go with Twilight, since she'd want to talk about magic and books a bit too much. Fluttershy would just want to sit quietly and sip tea, which is fine, but I only get one chance here. Rainbow would want to race, and I'm not doing that. Pinkie would be a bit too much once again. The question does say any MLP character though, so I think I want to aim a little higher. How about Celestia? It would also involve sipping tea, but this time with an immortal who would definitely have stories to tell. Or I could hang out inside dreams with Luna. That would be pretty fantastic. If you could have one from MLP in the real world, who would it be and why? Having one? I'm going to take that in the context of having one more as a friend. Once again, I'm torn. Twilight would be able to offer a lot of potential knowledge. Pinkie Pie would be a very interesting wild card. Anything could happen. Rainbow Dash would possibly fly me around, and that's pretty awesome. But this time, it's a long-term prospect, so Fluttershy is just too adorable to pass up. Number 9 or something? If you were to be stranded on an island with any one character from MLP, but they cannot use their abilities to escape the island, who would you pick and why? Okay, I'm stranded, so I need to think practically. Rainbow could help with weather, but not much else. Rarity would be a pain in that scenario. Applejack could help with food and construction, but there probably aren't apples there. Pinky would somehow grab cupcakes from null space, which is nice. Fluttershy would be okay, since she'd keep away any dangerous animals and even befriend most of them. Twilight's probably read several survival books, and her magic would be very useful. I feel like there's a loophole with Discord. He could turn the island into a resort and bring people to me so I wouldn't have to leave. But this is also similar to the previous question, meaning I want someone I could be certain I'd like being around. So this is another Twilight or Fluttershy situation, probably, depending on how much I want to favor practicality. Number 10. If you had to replace the main 6 with a new cast of characters, who would they be? I would like to see Derpy and Dr. Hooves in there. How about we throw in Trixie, and I suppose I can sneak Starlight in. And for the third pairing, I want Flufflepuff and Chrysalis. Yeah, now that's a main 6. Or we could make it the male 6. Big Mac, Shining Armor, Discord, Cheese Sandwich, Dr. Hooves, and Sunburst. Yeah! Men! Number 11. Which character would you trust so much that you would go to war with him or her? I think there are a lot of characters that I would trust in terms of loyalty, so I'd go with Celestia to feel more safe. Number 12. How would you rank the CMC? I always switch between Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle as my favorite, so obviously Scootaloo's number 3. I'm going to favor Sweetie Belle because she makes me happiest to see on screen, in early seasons with her voice cracks, and more currently with her cute little magic. Number 13, who's your favorite MLP villain? Number 14, what do you think of Discord? I paired these questions for a reason. John Delancey is an absolute treat. His line delivery is wonderful, chewing the scenery without mercy. Discord wins for on-screen personality. We could all use a little more chaos in our lives. That said, Starlight is very close. She was a fantastic villain, and she led 2, or 4 technically, of my favorite episodes before her reformation. I really appreciate her as the most grounded major antagonist of the series. Number bleh. Who is best princess? Me. Once again, it's how you interpret the question. Of the princesses, Twilight is the best character, but she doesn't seem that great at being royalty. I have to dock points from Cadence for leaving the literal heart of her kingdom unprotected in the open. Celestia doesn't really have the best track record either, but she's at least been cautious. Luna has more development than her sister or niece, and we've seen her reach out to her subjects to relate, as well as personally helping them overcome their nightmares while still presumably helping rule from the capital. I think I have to give this to her for successfully mixing a regal presence with a display of more individual care. Even though I really want to say Celestia, she held the kingdom together by herself for the longest time, but unfortunately we haven't been given enough material. There's a sense that everything she does comes from a calculated wisdom with a deep care for her subjects, but when it comes to canon, she's been sidelined too often for my taste. And for the record, I think fan writers have done some wonders with the character, but I'm not counting that here. And the final category for today, random MLP shenanigans. Number 1, what would be scarier to be in, the Sombra War or the Changeling War? Changeling War. At least in the Sombra War, you can generally distinguish between friend and foe. The ability of the enemy to disguise themselves as any one of your allies, as superior officers, as children, as family, is truly sinister, and paranoia would be rampant. Also, if you get caught, you're cocooned for feeding purposes. No thank you. Number 2, A, B, and C. Talking about princesses, I heard a lot of rumors about stuff like Sunset now being a princess, or that Starlight will become a princess soon. Any opinion on that stuff? Who do you think will be the next princess, or will there be a next princess? What's your overall opinion on the princesses? I don't think Sunset's a princess, and I doubt Starlight will become one, even though that would give them more dolls to sell. They introduced Flurry Heart this season, so I'm really not expecting to see another one anytime soon, unless a whole new kingdom is introduced. I'm fine with the princesses we have. Celestia and Luna are great characters to have around, on top of inspiring some of the fandom's best works, be it music or animation or art or fiction. I think Twilight did earn her ascension, though they maybe could have waited another season. And I'm glad they haven't hammered it in too hard, aside from the giant, glaring tree castle looming over Ponyville. Cadence was introduced early enough, and it also gave us shining armor, and in turn, I'm perfectly okay with the existence of Baby McFlurry. Number 3! If something were to happen to Celestia, which princess would rule? I'd say Luna. Twilight may be Celestia's pupil, but I figure Luna technically rules beside her, has the most experience, and she's already based in Canterlot. Celestia managed it on her own, so Luna might be able to as well. But she could get help from the other princesses if it happened. Number 4, can you name anyone you'd want to guest star on MLP? Ooh. I actually wrote those oohs in the script. Weird Al probably would have been one of my choices, but they beat me to the punch. I'd be okay with Seth Green, since he's shown he's cool with the pwn, so that would come across as genuine. But if I want to shoot for the stars, Dwayne Johnson would be great, because I love that guy and it would create just the perfect mental image. Really, there are a ton of random, highly improbable cases here. Benedict Cumberbatch would be a pretty cool villain. There's just too many options. Number 5, which theory do you think is the best or most canon-like? I'm not even sure if I understand this question correctly, so I have no idea. I'm still hoping to find out Scootaloo is or was an orphan at some point. They could build a legitimate story around that. Numero 6, how long do you think MLP will stay on? MLP in general will be on for as long as toys sell. Generation 4 though, I could see it ending in the next couple years, after the big movie release. But if it did, they would definitely have something in the works to follow it up. Number Narrator 007, since I'm sure you're going to get a ton of questions, I will limit myself to 3. I will also try to make them as unique as possible for you. Excluding the princesses, which 2 ponies would you want on your side in a bar fight? Firstly, thank you for the mercy. I think Big Mac and Shining Armor would be very handy in a bar fight, and they seem like they could hold their liquor, which seems necessary since fights often happen after the drinking. Starlight is a fine choice as well, since she's way overpowered, but I don't think that fits the spirit of things. Which MLP character do you think is most improved since Generation 4 began? Most improved. Immediately coming to mind are Luna, Trixie, Rarity, and the CMC. I don't count Twilight since, even though she's been developed, she was fine at the start, in my opinion. Discord and Starlight had awesome introductions. Fluttershy, Pinkie, and Applejack are similar to where they were before. In terms of main 6, I'd take Rarity over Rainbow. I'm not sure how to consider Luna though, since we really barely got anything from her in the premiere, and I liked her first real episode. Rarity's been used very well in the past couple seasons. As I said, she's my number 3, but I think I'm going to say the CMC, because I used to groan when I'd hear a CMC episode was coming. Now I'm intrigued. Their individual episodes with Luna, Crusaders of the Lost Mark, and their new Open Future, everything's been on the rise for them. Which mayor do you think your OC would try to court? That depends if Spoiled Rich signed a prenup or not. I could see him going after Fluttershy, but it would end up like Marble and Big Mac, where they're both just awkwardly staring at the ground. Is Cheerilee married? She seems like a sensible, grounded choice. Number book. In the Season 5 finale, where we see a ton of different alternate timelines, which timeline would you rather be in? Not the Changeling War, that's for sure. Obviously, the Wasteland future is off the table. Discord's future seems delightfully chaotic, but it would end up being at my expense. And Tirek would inevitably suck away everyone's magic and take his wrath out on all the trees in Equestria. The Nightmare Moon reality might not be too terrible. She's a tyrant and somehow gives everyone a bad attitude, but they seem healthy and not totally enslaved. That said, the Sombra War might be preferable because there is still hope. Celestia is still alive and leading charges into battle, and ponies are still themselves. Of course, the elephant in the room here is the weird industrialized future with Flim and Flam. I don't know how far that extends or how much damage it's caused, but they're only 2 ponies and the context is really vague. I kind of imagine it's not that bad throughout Equestria. Seems like a safer choice. Maybe some issues with a little bit of cancer in the lungs, but that's not the worst thing. Number derp. Do you think the main 6 are all immortal since the show staff have confirmed Twilight won't outlive their friends, but we know Ascended Alicorns can live for over 1,000 years? I just assume none of the main 6 are immortal. It's simpler that way, rather than all of them watching their friends and families die away. If you found yourself in Equestria, would you rather find yourself as your normal self, turned into a pony, turned into one of the already established characters, or turned into another creature? Why? And what would you do first? If I found myself in Equestria, I would not want to be in the body of an established character for a couple reasons. One, I'd inevitably be found out and suspected of being a changeling. And 2, I would worry about what happened to the conscience of that character. Did I overwrite them? Best case, they're back in my body on Earth, but that means they're lost and scared. I would not want to be a non-human non-pony, it just seems like a disadvantage. Well, unless I could be a Draconiquist and have some crazy chaos magic, but I wonder how Discord would react to that. The benefit of staying a human would be that the ponies would more likely believe me when I told them what happened, and I'd be less likely to develop some weird dissociative disorder. However, screw it, when in Rome, turn me into a pony. If I'm stuck there forever, it would let me lead a relatively normal life, and hopefully I'd be a unicorn to make up for the lack of opposable thumbs. If I'm only there for a week until they find a spell to send me back, then hey, I got to be a freaking pony for a week. And if that's the case, I'd definitely want to be a Pegasus so I could fly. First thing I'd do, aside from trying to fly if I had wings, would be heading to Twilight's castle to try and explain the situation. I think that would give me the best chances of figuring out what happened and see if I could potentially fix it. She has a direct link to Celestia, but it would be less difficult and intimidating to approach her. If I was too worried about her not believing me, I'd go to Sweet Apple Acres first and befriend Applejack. Her support would add all the credibility I need. Or we toss all of this, I become Pinkie Pie, and they would never know because she is so random. Or as Derpy so I could see through her eyes. Number tyranny. If you were to rule Equestria, what would be your first law? I hope it's that we must hug you. And what new laws would you make for Equestria? Well, obviously, the first law is that you all have to hug me. Second law, I would expand coverage for eye surgery because various ponies are afflicted with spontaneous ocular derpage, and some have more chronic conditions. Third law, Rainbow Dash is not allowed to say numbers anymore. This is for the benefit of society. Fourth law, any vital ancient magical artifacts are to be registered with the Equestrian government and placed under high security detail. Law 5. Dedication of a fenced-in plot of national forest for the purposes of letting Cerberus out every now and then. He gets cranky in Tartarus. And lastly, a mandatory singing quota for each incorporated territory. Every town must meet a monthly spontaneous group song minimum or face heavy fines. This is non-negotiable. Oh god, I'm dying over here. If you were teleported to Equestria, stuck in your OC, what would you do first, aside from panicking, of course? As mentioned, I'd try to make my way to Twilight's castle, though after 1 or 2 attempts at telekinesis for good measure. If you already lived in Equestria and a villain successfully took over, would you join the villain's side or would you revolt? I would revolt because I would hold firm to the idea that in Equestria, the good guys will eventually win. And if I sided against them, I would probably be turned to stone. If you had the chance to take over Equestria, would you do it? I would not personally take over Equestria, because it seems like I could lead a pretty nice life regardless, and I would hate to have my subjects hate me. Unless it's the scenario where Celestia is willingly offering me the crown for whatever reason, then sure, that sounds fine. If you were Equestria, would you... Wait, that doesn't make sense. If Equestria, for whatever reason, could only be ruled by one princess, whom would you choose? In that scenario, I'd go with Celestia. She's proven she can do it alone, and the citizens have faith in her. Twist! What if all the other princesses would die? Oh geez, if the others had to die? Maybe still Celestia, but maybe Twilight in that case? Because without her, something bad might happen with the elements and Equestria's greatest defense could be broken. Number, I'm turning into Mettaton. We had a lot of returning characters. Which comeback was your favorite? Who should have a comeback? That's hard. I discount Starlight because her return was implied and pretty much mandatory. Trixie was nice because her comeback was way better than her intro. However, I was really glad when Discord returned. That's probably my favorite. In terms of who should come back, I'll mention two. I'd love Cheese Sandwich to return in a musical episode, and I really want to see Chrysalis come back. I know she was featured in the season 5 finale in an alternate timeline, but I want a real comeback, and not for the purposes of a redemption. Just straight up 2-part villain spectacular, revenge against Cadence and Shining Armor by taking Flurry Heart, something major like that. What do you think is the story of the Tree of Harmony and the Elements? I don't care. Shiny things make bad guys go boom. Good enough lore for me. Number, whoop whoop! If you met one of the ponies in real life and you had a creepy pasta at hand that was about them, for example, RD or Pinky equals Cupcakes, Rarity equals Little Miss Rarity, CMC equals Sweet Apple Massacre, etc., would you have them read it or would you refuse? No, I'm not a sadist, so I would refuse. Number Marvel. You're going into battle for the fate of Equestria. Your team consists of one of the main 6, a villain, a background pony, and a princess of your choice. Who is on your team? Well, Twilight for the main 6, so I can have 2 princesses, and she's obviously the most prepared for a fight. Discord if reformed villains count, otherwise Chrysalis because she could mimic and confuse the enemy, but unlike Tirek, she could be reined in if she suddenly decided to go AWOL. For background pony, Vinyl Scratch, because we'd ride in on her basemobile before it transformed into a lethal sonic device. Runner-up is Dr. Hooves because he could equip us with some cool tech. And for Princess, Luna, because I like to imagine she's better at fighting than Celestia, and less likely to show mercy. Number... If Richard Nixon was a pony, what do you think he would look like? Like the Nixon head from Futurama slightly morphed into a more equine shape? Also, what's your favorite Richard Nixon quote? I am not a crook. That's the only one I know offhand. And if you could ship him with any pony, who would it be? Tree Hugger. Yeah, Tree Hugger. My favorite president is Richard Nixon, by the way. I don't believe you. Number wee! If you could do one thing at the GGG, that is Grand Galloping Gala, what would it be? I would talk with the princesses. I want to hear stories. Or pull a Rarity and try to hook up with Prince Blueblood. Then I could be a real princess. Number plug. What do you think of my OC? It's nice. Number, would you like me to redesign your OC's school uniform? There was Japanese text in the actual comment. Sure. He doesn't have one, so it's more a design than a redesign, but sure. Have you ever noticed that Season 5 Episodes 1 and 2, the Cutie Map, were like the short story Harrison Bergeron? I actually had never read Harrison Bergeron myself, only heard it mentioned. Your post prompted me to look it up, and yeah, I can see the similarity. Number almost done. Can you do speed paint? I cannot speed paint. Digital art is not my forte. Or maybe, what's your favorite Insanity MLP character and can you watch the series? I have not seen the series, so I have no idea, and maybe. Hey, it's Stormlight! What is your favorite MLP crossover? Mine is MLP Cross Sonic. My favorite crossovers are mostly sci-fi related. I've definitely enjoyed fanworks for Doctor Who, Portal, and Mass Effect, but my favorite for sure, even if it's more a thematic crossover than actual characters, is Fallout Equestria. And I will dig deeper into that in the next part of the Q&A because part 1 is complete. Man, I am dying over here. Thank you all for watching so much, especially if you made it this far. Holy cow, you are determined. And regardless if you gave me a question or not, thank you for just being part of this in general. I suppose I'll have a more formal closer in the last part of the Q&A, but I still have plenty of work to do, so hopefully I will see you guys there. Bye guys, until next time, all you've got to do is ask.